Hello, and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. I'm Jim Carter. So, yes, another George Harrison All Things Must Pass sound comparison for people. So, my sound quality shootout. I spent a lot of time with this one, although you kind of sort of have to because it's a 3-album set or 2-disc set if you're CDs. But, lots and lots of, for lack of a better term, controversy over the new remix, and I'm here to kind of talk about that specifically versus a few other variations that I have. And when I say I spent a lot of time with this, I mean I listened to it on my good sound system, I listened to it in my car stereo, I listened to it on my really good headphones, on my okay headphones, and through a high-resolution digital audio player, through my phone, on my surround sound system. I'll get to that in a little bit. So I really spent a lot of time trying to do some comparisons. So let me show you at least the records that I compared and other formats I'll talk about. So, first off is the obvious one, which is this is the 3 LP set version of All Things Must Pass 50th Anniversary Remix. And I decided to go this route because I also bought the CD/Blu-ray version of the Super Deluxe, mainly because of two factors. One is it has the high-resolution stereo remix on it, and it also has the surround sound remix on there as well. And I really like surround sound. I've got a halfway decent surround sound system, so it's really nice to be able to pull that Blu-ray out and listen to that, but also again get that high-resolution stereo mix that I would have had to pay for otherwise via download. The one knock I will bring her up right off the bat on the 50th anniversary editions is I really, really wish on one of the Super Deluxe, besides the $1,000 Super Box, I really wish they would have made it a, like the 8 LP set. I really wish they would have included the Blu-ray on that. It wouldn't have cost them that much more, and I certainly would have bought it. And it's something that I think they really dropped the ball on. But anyway, so I had that version. I also have a 1970 US pressing of All Things Must Pass. It's in pretty good shape. Visually, it looks great. It's a little noisy, but it's not terrible. I've cleaned it a couple times, and it doesn't seem to really get much better. But anyways, so those are the physical versions of the album I have. I also have the 2011 remaster that was put out by the George Harrison estate on his website, which I think it was 2011 anyways, but a lot of people consider that one to be one of the best remasters of the original mix. And I also, obviously, as I mentioned, listened to the high-resolution tracks that were on the Blu-ray as well. And I also listened to, like I said, the surround sound version on my surround sound system and the Dolby Atmos version on Apple Music through a couple of different headphones that I had, just to kind of get a good sense of what I felt it sounded like. So I'll start off with the original pressing. And I was listening to it, put it on, and, it sounded okay. I want to actually, before I go too deep into this, I really want to just say, honestly, in my personal opinion, and, maybe I'll get slayed for this, I don't think there's a good sounding version of this album, period. I don't think any of them sound good. So, I want to start off by saying that. Definitely not going to be an audiophile quality thing that you're going to show off your system with on any of the versions. So, I listened, again, I will go back, listen to the 1970 US pressing. It sounded okay. The dynamics were decent. The, clarity was okay. I just found it to be really thin sounding though. But it had a good sound stage. Just very, very little, if any, bass. There was some there, but there wasn't much. And after, by the time I hit the third or fourth side, I was just kind of disappointed in the overall sound quality of it. And, you know, it had nothing to do with the reverb. You know, a lot of people have mentioned the, you know, the spectralizing of the music or whatever with the wall of sound and things like that. And I don't think that's the issue with the album. So I didn't have that much of a problem with it. I'm not as invested in the original mix as a lot of people are, because I quite frankly haven't listened to this album a lot. I'll listen to it every now and then, and I've never critically listened to it until actually this A/B comparison that I did for the sound quality shootout. So it's always been kind of a background thing for me, or listen to in the car, or, you know, through headphones or whatever. It really has never been something that I've just sat down and just thoroughly listened to and let it take over and listen to it. So I just, you know, and I probably won't ever do it again because I don't think it's there, you know. So anyways, high points of the 1970 US pressing, you know, good dynamics, you know, pretty good clarity. Cons to that is, I don't know, it felt a little harsh, virtually no low end. Occasionally you got some, but there really wasn't much. So that's that. Put on the new version, and right away, the one thing that you definitely notice, and I'm sure if you've seen any of these or videos similar to this or read any other reviews, you'll hear the same thing, is there's definitely more bass, definitely more mid-range, lower mid-range. It's, you know, depending on your system, I think it can sound muddy, and at times it did sound a little bit muddy, I guess. The one thing that struck out to me, though, after a few songs in, is that one, you know, that I definitely thought there was some better clarity and better, you know, you could hear instruments and the vocals better. I know I've read by some people that they feel that the vocals were way too loud on the remix. I don't know if I agree with that, but they're definitely more present there. And there's just an overall warmer feel to it, which I really preferred that part of it over the original 70s pressing. The one thing that did strike me as I was listening and continuing to listen is that there was definitely a lack of dynamics. They definitely seemed to kind of dynamically compress this one a lot more than the original, which I really wish they didn't do it quite as much. I think, you know, maybe somewhere in between the original and the remix would have been okay. I would have liked to have really truly seen them stick with the original dynamics, though, and I think that would have probably made a big difference on this. But, you know, the sound, because the sound stage isn't quite as deep. It's still decent, but it's not quite as deep. I think the soundstage width is probably pretty similar. When I listened to it in my surround sound system, I you know, it was kind of cool because you had some stuff kind of going on in the back, but not a lot. It was kind of a subtle surround sound mix. Then I compared the high resolution files. So I had the high resolution 2011 remaster and then the current remix, both in high resolution. Listened to them in my stereo. Definitely came away with a very similar conclusion. I think, you know, the 2011 probably was a little bit warmer than the 1970 US pressing on vinyl. But, you know, it still had the same, as you would imagine, the same issues that the record had in terms of, you know, kind of it had a little bit less harshness, but it just didn't have that much low end still, and it just seemed to lack that, which I am a big bass guy, so I really want that bass. So I then put on the high resolution version of the remix, and again, same type of thing that came to me when I was listening to that as when I was listening to the vinyl. So there really weren't dramatic differences between the digital files and the vinyl. I would probably give a slight edge to the 2011 remaster in high resolution over my 1970 US pressing, because number one, the pressing was a little noisy, like I mentioned, and also it seemed to be a little bit richer, have a little bit more bass to it. So I would probably give a slight edge to the 2011 remaster in high resolution over the vinyl. Now, one interesting thing I did last night, I listened to probably 4 or 5 songs through headphones on my, actually, 2 ways. Actually, I have a high resolution digital audio player and a pair of Sennheiser HD 700 headphones. So, kind of higher end headphones, open air design. And it was definitely clear there. The things that I was listening to and heard on the vinyl were definitely true, listening to it through the headphones. And on the high res on my big system. And that was, better soundstage, deeper soundstage on the remaster in comparison to the remix, and the remix was definitely much louder, more dynamically compressed. And I would say clarity wise definitely was an edge on the remix for sure. Yes, there were some parts that were kind of muddy, but I personally think that probably potentially has more to do with the compression that was used more than anything else. I could be wrong, but that's kind of my take on that. So, final analysis. Oh, I also listened to it through my phone. I have an iPhone, and I have AirPod Pros and AirPod Max, so the earbuds, and then the big over-ear headphones, which give you Dolby Atmos spatial audio through the headphones. And I listened to the Dolby Atmos version on my phone, and I have to say, it's probably one of my favorite versions of it. It didn't seem as boomy, and it may have been more compressed. It's definitely compressed from a file standpoint, so it wasn't, lossless audio. But in terms of the dynamic compression, maybe it was just me thinking this, and it's probably not the case, but it seemed less dynamically compressed. There definitely was more air around all the instruments, and I think that's partially just due to what they do with the spatial audio and Dolby Atmos. But I really liked that version, and I'll probably keep going back to that and listening to that version because I think it's really good. So overall, my take, I can't really say. Maybe I lean a little bit more close, maybe a little closer to the remix, but I would say that they both have their faults, and it's a question of what your preferences are. If you want the better deep sound stage, and you like that wall of sound, and you don't mind giving up some bass to get those, the original mix is definitely your way to go. If you like a more full sound, more bass, more lower mid-range, and you want a little bit better clarity on the instruments and the vocals, and you don't mind the dynamic compression that kind of occasionally leaves it sounding a little dull, then the 50th anniversary remix is for you. But I can't say either one of them stand out as being great. and that's surround sound version. Dolby Atmos version is probably one of my favorites, although I don't like listening through headphones, so I don't know how often I'll listen to that, although I can, I suppose, listen to it on my surround sound system. But either way, none of them sound great. It's just a question of what you prefer. I mean, obviously, if you are a huge fan of this album and you've been listening to it for decades, then you're probably going to want to stick with the original. Maybe crank up the bass a little bit more, in my opinion. But, for those of you who don't mind a kind of a retake or a refresh on a sound, then I would say try the 50th anniversary. I mean, the great thing about today's day and age is if you pay for a streaming service, all the streaming services allow you to listen to it. A lot of them allow you to listen to it in lossless audio. So yeah, it's not the same as vinyl, but at least gives you an idea of whether you want to pursue the vinyl version or a physical copy of it as well. I listened to a couple of the extra bonus stuff, the demos and the outtakes and stuff, but quite frankly, because this is a 3-record set, I really haven't had a chance to really dive deeper into that stuff. But I look forward to it because what I heard I really enjoyed and I really liked it. So that's my take on it. I really want to hear what your opinion is. I know that there are huge differences in opinion on this. I find a lot of the people that have listened to it for years definitely have a leaning towards the original. Sound engineers that I know and respect prefer the original. They feel that there are a lot of issues with the mixing of the newest version of the album, and a lot of it has been the muddiness of it. And quite frankly, I think the muddiness has been the compression. I don't think it's the actual mix per se. I think that the muddiness may have taken place after they did the mixing and they went to mastering it, and they decided to dynamically compress it more. But I don't know enough about it to say that that's the reasoning, but that's my feeling on why it has that muddiness to it. Is I just think that they took it after they mixed it and dynamically compressed it more, and just kind of had it lose its edge a little bit, which is too bad because I'd love to hear a less compressed version of it for the remix. So that's it. Remix if you want better bass, or more bass, I shouldn't say better, more bass, better clarity on the vocals and the instruments. The original mix, if you like that wall of sound, you like the better dynamics and the better sound stage. So let me hear what you have to say about it. Leave your comments below. If you liked what you saw here, please like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you like what you see here. Hit that alert bell to let me know that, let you know when my new videos come out. Also, I've got links to my social media pages. I'm starting to try to get back into that a little bit more. I posted at least a couple times this week, and I will post some more if I get some more positive response out of that. And I especially really would love to have you come onto my Facebook link that I've got, because it's basically a Facebook group, and we can talk about anything that you guys want, including, you know, maybe some ideas that you'd like to see for videos in the future, and give your take on my video here, although I'd really like to have you make those comments on YouTube. So that's everything I've got for today. Thank you very much, and you have a great one.